Hello and welcome to Not Us podcast, hosted by two sisters, myself, Angela, and that hottie over there, my sister, Sam, as we talk about change, choice, and celebrate all the messy bits in between.
We're not doctors, therapists, gurus, or witches.
Because we are.
The stories and opinions expressed in this episode are our own for entertainment only and subjected to change. Swearing is possible, and remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe.
Yay, Sam. I'm so excited about this episode. I know it was one that came about out of a potential conflict situation.
We had a difference of opinion in our planning session. So Angela and myself have planning sessions in terms of what the next episodes are going to be and topics that we want to cover. And Angela said, Thanksgiving is coming up, and so let's do an episode of Thanksgiving. And it was a Friday afternoon, and Angela and myself have since discovered that Fridays are not a good day for us to maybe brainstorm or have difference of opinions because we do get a little tense with each other.
I'm a grumpy cow on a Friday afternoon.
No, it's not that you're grumpy. It's the end of the week. You have a lot of things that you need to get out of the way. And I was also a little bit like pushy on that day. No, Thanksgiving is an American holiday. I don't think it's relevant to us. And Angela was like, well, I'll let you know. Actually, it's celebrated all over the world. I was like, mm-hmm. And in my head, I was like, right, we are not having discussions on Fridays. This is the second Friday in a row that she's been snappy with me.
Actually, all I needed was to have my bars run, and then I was fine after that. I had pent-up frustration. But no, the thing is that we celebrated with our global teams, and a lot of people do celebrate it. We may not celebrate it in the way that those of you in the US are celebrating Thanksgiving. But certainly for me anyway, personally, and I think, Sam, this resonates for you a little bit, is that we take it as an opportunity to think about the things that we are thankful and grateful for.
Yeah, and it's not a particular day, whereas I think our American counterparts and even Canadian counterparts who actually celebrate it in October have a particular day where families get together or friends get together. And what a beautiful holiday, actually. Getting together with people that you like or tolerate and have a moment to be grateful and to spend time together and to express that gratitude. So I can absolutely get behind that concept. And you are right. It is something that is very much part of us and how we show up in the world, and can absolutely get behind any time to celebrate because we know that we love celebrations. But we did have a disagreement as to whether it should be a Thanksgiving episode or a Thanksgiving and gratitude episode. And so that's what this episode's about. It's really about gratitude and the practices of gratitude and where gratitude sits in our life.
And I think you have said a word that's really important, the practice of gratitude. Because it's one thing to feel all the fuzzy, warm feelings of gratitude when everything's going really well in your life. But it's how do we incorporate gratitude as a daily practice to change the trajectory of our lives and to really help us to create the lives that we desire. And I think that's something that's interesting for us to think about. Gratitude is something that's really important in my world, and it has absolutely been the trigger for changing my life as I have it now, feeling the feelings of gratitude before the things that I desire have manifest. So really being able to feel it first and then be able to create it. And now there's science behind it. There is really strong science behind it. I'm going to just read a little bit on this only because I haven't memorized it. But there's been such great work done on brain chemistry. And it is now proven that gratitude activates the hypothalamus, which we know regulates the stress hormone, and it releases dopamine and serotonin. Those are the feel-good neurotransmitters. So it's literally rewiring the brain to positivity. And I think the whole world could do with a little more of that. Sam, what do you think about that? As we say, it's easier said than done to feel gratitude, right? But being grateful is different than feeling.
Yeah. I think for a lot of us, the secret was really what kicked off this whole concept of gratitude. Not necessarily that it kicked it off, but it brought it more into the mainstream. And I think at the same time, it gave it a bad rap. Thinking your way to positivity or being positive to defining the life that you want while your life is falling apart is probably not something that I subscribe to. But I do think that being grateful, even if it's just being able to control yourself in a situation, taking a moment to acknowledge what you have in your life. And even through change, it's not what life throws at you, it's how you respond to that. And a story that I heard years ago is that even a person in prison has the opportunity to see themselves differently. You can have all the freedom in the world and still be caged by your thoughts, or you can be imprisoned, but you still have the choice in how your mind shows up. And that's really powerful. I mean, I'm a little bit of a worry bag. And so it is really important for me to take a moment just to realize what is a truth in a situation and in the world. And in that moment, being grateful or just acknowledging what I have versus what I think is happening. And so in terms of what does gratitude mean to me, just the moment of taking a pause and acknowledging what is and being satisfied or at peace in that moment. And I do have a daily practice of gratitude. I'm not religious, but I pray every night. And in my prayers is gratitude. It's thanking the universe, God, whatever it is, for a day, for the blessings, for the relationships that I have, the love that I receive. And I do the same thing in the morning. But I can't sleep unless I prayed and given my thanks for the day, which is bizarre.
And that's a great practice. And I think that's the thing. One of the assumption is that you either care about spirituality or your well-being or not completely. Like there's a space for in between, incorporating those practices of grounding, having that moment to connect with yourself, your higher self. Everyone's got their different way of doing that. But do you know that the studies have shown that grateful people sleep better, have lower blood pressure, and stronger immune systems? There's been a Harvard study that's found that people who regularly practice gratitude have lower levels of inflammation and live longer and healthier lives. So it's incredible practice and something that I used to use a lot when I was performing full time, because this thing of the brain not knowing what is real and what's not real. I would go on stage and be portraying a character, for example, like when I was doing Evita and dying every single night of uterus cancer. I'd come off the stage, my body, and I, as an actress who really gets into all the feels, everything about me is feeling the full feels of that experience. And so I would have to come off the stage and kind of ground myself, make sure that my practices were really strong so that my body knew that that was just me acting something. I wonder how successful I was at it at the time, considering a year later, I found out that I had cervical cancer. I'm just really interested in how strong what you tell the brain can manifest in your body. And so then, like the year after, 2 years after, when I was playing Norma Desmond, and she was a crazy woman, I would come off the stage every night. And as I was driving home, I would look in the mirror and say, I'm not Norma Desmond. I would do all of those things to rewire my brain each time after the performance. And so that's when gratitude becomes really interesting, because the act of being grateful when you don't have what you would like lets your body and your brain think it already exists. And that is where the magic happens.
I mean, we're going to veer off into a different topic, but what I do want to say is I am an avid believer in visualization. And when I was playing football, and I played competitive amateur football at a high level, and we were a top team, I would do a visualization practice before every game. And in that, I would actually see myself going through the motions of stopping an attacker, laying off the ball. And on the odd occasion that I did not do that, I would lose my temper or I wouldn't be as focused. And so I absolutely believe in rehearsing situations, just because the brain does not know what is real and what is not real. And I've seen this especially with people who've had dementia. Sometimes they'll recall information to you, and it might be something that they've watched, someone else's story. Our brain is just highly, highly, highly influential. And this is why I stay away from artificial reality goggles, because I'm so, in a way, scared of my brain actually not knowing what is real and what's not real. And I've tried those AR goggles on before, and it's terrifying that it feels so real that you can actually go through the motions of, if you're on a roller coaster, feeling your stomach drop, etc. I'd rather just experience it in real life. But absolutely, I think what you had said earlier on about gratitude, and I have seen the science around how we can rewire our brain, and gratitude is really a feeling. It's not necessarily the words. It can be the practice, and you can do it at any point, just like meditation and grounding can happen at any point. It's really about connecting with the belief, the feeling, and the breath. I relate that a lot to visualization, whether that is preparing for something or just being grateful for what I have, the day that I've experienced, the good, the bad, and the ugly, being appreciative of everything that I have in my life. And this year particularly, this has been a challenging year for me, and I cannot be more grateful for the relationships around me. Just because I've been so held and loved from you, from my other sister, even from friends, from new friends, that there's no investment for them in terms of holding me and just loving me and making me feel seen and heard. That is what I'm super grateful for in the changes that I've been experiencing. It's just the changes in relationships and the changes in being able to see the gifts that have been bestowed upon me, even though there's a part of me that I feel like I'm losing so much of my life and so much of my identity and key things that are really important to me. But on the other side is there's this wonderful opening, meeting myself, truly meeting myself, but also this opening and this outpour of love from people around me, and even from the universe, from God, like just being kept so safely in this change. So
That's
yeah.
beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Sid. That's really great. And I think a few things you've mentioned there, one of them being, well, firstly, we love you and are grateful for you, for those of us who are around you. And so what a gift to be in your life. But also going back to where you were talking about rehearsing before you went onto the field to play. I think I've been there a couple of times when you didn't do those and you got hot-headed on the field. She's a great footballer, just by the way. But that's what top sports teams do. They rehearse it in advance. That's the practice. And so, like I know, even when you're going through the darkest hour, the valley of the shadow of death, whatever that might be, it's not using gratitude, that toxic gratitude of saying, I'm fine, I'm so grateful for everything, everything's wonderful. That's not what gratitude is. It's finding something that you can be grateful for. And even if that literally means I'm grateful that I have clothes on today, that I have clothes to wear. I'm grateful that I can breathe. I'm grateful for the sunshine. If you can find the smallest things that are honest and true to you, then you can build on that.
Just to add to that, it could even be recognizing that you have 5 minutes to cry in a cubicle, just 5 minutes of being able to truly feel your emotion and
Yeah.
have the safety to express that. That can also be gratitude. It
Gratitude for the
doesn't have to
tissue that
be
can dry your tears. You can't find one anywhere. Yeah.
use your sleeve.
Doesn't have to be all sunshine and roses.
No, but what I'm trying to say is that, we think that we have to be grateful for the positive stuff, but sometimes it's just the real stuff. And if you're a busy mom, it might be just having 5 minutes to like hear yourself think. If you're not a busy mom, or you're not someone who has like all of these demands on you, you wouldn't necessarily even see that as something to be grateful for. But depending on your circumstances and where you are, your reason for gratitude or the moment of gratitude will be different, completely different to anyone else's moment of gratitude. And often we think about all the positive things that we need to be grateful for. But sometimes it's also just like the very basic stuff of 5 minutes just to get a moment's peace.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to add that.
And I love
Add
that.
my little bit of gray sky, my rain cloud across your blue sky.
I mean, this is a good time to show our jumpers. Like yours is the gray is
Do what
do
you
what you
love.
love. Mine is smile.
Can you imagine us
That's pretty.
walking down the street? You could be like Mary Sunshine, and I could be like the thundercloud. Do what you love.
Oh, it's fantastic. But you know what's this? That makes me think of even when you're in the clutches of something that's devastating you, that it makes you contract, right? Your whole body goes into tight contraction. You almost feel like you can't breathe because you stand still in fight and flight before you fly. And just finding that one thing just opens up your breath a little bit. It allows just that moment of a little bit more oxygen to enter your system. And if you can add onto that, it'll just keep expanding that tight grip of whatever that is that's bothering you, holding you, or whatever that circumstance is that keeps you there. But I have a surprise for you. Well, almost half a surprise for you. In prepping for this episode, I reached out to a couple of our friends and family, some of those who have been watching our podcast, to ask them what gratitude means to them. And my sister doesn't know who I've contacted. I just mentioned to her before this call, P.S. I've got some quotes. But yeah, so I've got a couple of gratitude quotes and I'm going to read them. Yes.
Do you want to tell them how you responded to me? Because I asked, oh, why didn't you reach out to me to ask me what my gratitude was about? And she was quite rude to me.
Yes, I said, that's what the whole podcast is for. That's where we get to air our views.
She did call me a
Okay.
name, but she's clearly avoiding the name that she called me, but it's okay.
Probably was something like my beautiful sister.
Yeah, it was
I'm
sure
going to use
was.
my big box glasses for this occasion so that
And
I can read properly.
If you're not
Look.
watching and you're listening, Angela looks like a naughty school teacher with her big
Ooh.
black rimmed glasses.
Okay,
Yes.
so the first quote is from our Auntie Sunny, who has been
Ooh.
watching our episode, which is great. And she said, I live my life with an attitude of gratitude. It's not a one-time event, but a regular habit that leads to increased happiness and well-being. Having grown up in a disadvantaged environment, I don't take things for granted. I'm grateful for the simple pleasures of life, like a hot bath, fluffy towels, a sunny day, a comfortable bed. I'm extremely grateful for good health, my family, and eyes to enjoy the beauty of nature. And she sent us a quote. So it is not happiness that makes us grateful. It's gratefulness that makes us happy. And that's by David Stendhal Rust. Thank you, Auntie Sunny. Sunny, that's
I love
beautiful.
that. And I love that quote. It's not happiness that makes us grateful. It's gratitude that makes us happy.
Yeah.
Well
That's
done.
a really great one. Do we want another one?
We
I have
do,
10.
Okay. Go for it.
Let's do one more before we move on. In fact, maybe we should keep it in the family and let's go with Brett. He's in LA at the moment. Brett and Nick, if you're watching, hello. Greetings from LA. Gratitude for me is mostly found when I force myself to pause, look around, and soak up the good things I have going on. So often, the busyness of life means I'm only grateful when the thing has passed me by. So to actually create stillness, to observe, is the greatest act of gratitude I can give to myself and everything around me. I really like that one.
That is, and that's so true. And I think what he's touching on there is also what gratitude looks like as you age. And often we give people, especially the younger generation who live through their phones, we give them such a hard time. And we go, you're not living in the moment. But maybe it's about capturing those moments so that you can reflect back on them. But I love that statement about pausing, because we all have to pause. Life is just so busy. And it's in those moments of pausing that we are able to really take in just how beautiful life is, regardless of where we're at. Just take that moment to pause. Love that.
It makes me think of, like, even I remember when I got married the first time. I sound like Elizabeth Taylor. But anyway,
Yes.
when I had
Runaway Bride. The first wives club, the first, second, 20th wives club. Angela's trying to like make sure that she's has an access pass to all of the clubs.
That's right. Gotta live. But when I had the big white wedding, I remember people saying to me, try and pause and take in everything of the day so that you can enjoy it and be grateful and thankful for it. Because everything just gets so busy. You're caught up in the moment so much that you are never able to actually absorb life and take it in and see the beauty. And so I love what Brett has said here, because it is exactly that, in the pause. And that's an active thing. Gratitude doesn't always just happen. It does when it becomes your regular practice, but it doesn't always just happen. You actually have to actively pause, observe, and then you can feel grateful for something. And that in itself, just that pause, is meditation. That is the chemistry that changes, the chemical reaction that changes the makeup of your body and can set things in a different trajectory. So pause is really powerful. Okay, then I will move it along. Let's go to my friend Nicolette. She's in South Africa. And Nicolette said, gratitude to me is the awareness of being at peace, knowing my body takes care of me, my family and friends surround me with love and support, and my business continues to flow with abundance and purpose. And then she sent back, and also my fur babies. I left them out. Thank you, Nicolette. I love that, the awareness of being at peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it comes back to cultivating those moments of peace.
Yeah.
So I think we've got a formula here. It's pause, reflection, and peace. I'm going to write it down quickly. You know, I love a formula.
Love a formula. All right. Well, while you're on the formula, let's go for another one. This one comes from Nathan, actually, my partner Nathan, who miraculously agreed to
It's
contribute.
pretty much the third host.
the host in the background, the silent host.
He contributes weekly.
And he said, gratitude is a warm sense, a loved sense, a sense that someone has your feelings in their mind and heart and wants to let you know. It's the biological, chemical, and spiritual feeling of rhetorical emotion, thanks, that fills you up and makes you smile. He's got all the feels, but you know what we do, we practice this actively in our lives, is we tell each other all the way through the day little things that we're grateful for each other about. At night when we go to bed, we always take a moment to lie and just have a cuddle, because of the actual chemistry. We know the power of a hug, and having that for a certain amount of time, what reaction that has on your body. Even if you're irritated with each other, just being close has a chemical reaction. And in that moment, we'll very often be saying, I'm so grateful for you. I'm really grateful for our life. We spend most of the day, the brain is kind of wired to look towards the negative. We don't need to carve out time to think about things we don't like around us. We will automatically do that. But carving out a moment just to say, I'm really grateful for you. I'm so thankful for my life. I'm so thankful for my body. I'm so thankful for my health, is something we practice every single day. So that's another.
Has that changed, or was that the same in previous relationships or when you were younger? Is that something that you've actively changed? Or is it because that you've got the hug reference from maths, and so you're now bringing that into your life?
Listen, like maths has eaten up time. I could be good doing other things. We love it. My sister and I, we love a bit of junk TV. And every time math season comes around, I know that that's tickets. We're going to get to bed late, overtired, and her and I will have exchanged
Deep
foul
views and
mouthed,
opinions of behavior.
deep views and opinions. But we also take the time to reflect on our own relationships when we watch it.
And
Oh,
ourselves, actually, how we show up in the world. Because even doing this podcast, you become like so aware when you're being recorded about your expressions, the words that you use, the cadence of your speaking. So imagine being on a reality TV show and having a camera following you, and then, of course, someone else responsible for editing how you're going to show up. And how you show up is not necessarily how someone receives you. Anyway,
yeah.
just going into
But that's
somewhere
a
else.
good point.
To the question.
No, but that's a good point. It actually leads to what I wanted to say about gratitude previously. As you know, I am generally someone who has a glass half full. Well, that's at least what I've cultivated. I have always showed big acts of love. So certainly when it comes to partners, I'm often quite vocal about how much I love, how much I feel, how grateful I am as a rule. But what I find now is that it's more refined and more grounded in my true, it's just a lot more grounded. So when I'm saying I'm really grateful for something, it's not just to say, oh, I love you, I'm so grateful for you. It is backed up by a sense of knowing what it is about that person that I'm so grateful for. It's more an active knowing of what those things are. It's not just a blanket statement. And that's where you can get into that toxic positivity.
Yeah.
Even when it's
Yep.
horrific and you should be leaving, you're still going, I'm grateful and I love my life, you know. So,
Well, you cannot fake emotion or vibe or energy, whatever you want to call it. And that's what's actually important, is the vibration of the feeling and the vibration of your life. There's a great quote, which is, gratitude isn't denying pain, it's acknowledging what's still standing afterwards. And I think that's my counter to toxic positivity.
I love that. I think what's really important is to acknowledge that in order for you to grow in your life, you have to sit in your pain. We're using pain as an example. Glossing over what's really going on or how you're really feeling will keep you stuck. And the reason I can be so half glass full is because I take the time, do the work, and a lot of work that I've done with Jane Sonnenberg, who's based in South Africa, has been on that. Sitting in the discomfort, sitting in that contraction, feeling what your body's feeling, acknowledging everything in all of its unpleasantness. And it's very hard for people to do that, which is why people end up using substances and anything to escape feeling the feels. So if you're listening to this, Sam and I are not saying don't feel the feels, just be all positive, and that's just going to make the whole world a better place. But in order for you to grow as a person, you need to really know yourself and heal parts of yourself. And that you can only do by sitting in that moment, going through that moment. And then you can come out on the other side and have space. In fact, not come through the other side. Within sitting in your discomfort, you want to just expand that space. So in the discomfort, you can still have gratitude. You can still have whatever the emotions are around you. And in the therapy work that I've done on that, I often said to Jane, who I was working with, how does meditation fit into this then? How do I do all my positive affirmations and all of these things? And that all of those things work when they come from a place of knowing yourself and exactly where you are and sitting in that foundation of this is my current situation. But I can also feel this. I can also feel love. I can also feel devastation. I can feel all of these so that one of those doesn't overwhelm you. But for this episode, we are back on gratitude. And I'd like to share another quote that we got from another friend of ours who has been watching the podcast as well. And she had a really powerful reply that she sent through to me because she'd been pondering something else and hadn't really thought about gratitude as much. And so, Manny, thank you so much for sending this one through. And she said, the word liminal has come to me twice recently. And I've been in a space where I could really feel its power. Liminal is the idea of being between things, in transition, yet at peace. Then when I was asked what gratitude means to me, I realized how beautifully the two connect. Gratitude, like liminality, lives in the in-between, in those pauses where life slows just enough for me to notice the goodness that's already here. I absolutely love that. Again, it's that pause, being able to pause, slow down just enough to notice the goodness that's already here.
And maybe that's what's so beautiful about the Thanksgiving holiday, is that it's a pause in the calendar where anyone who chooses to celebrate it has a day where they pause, they come together, do things that they enjoy, fight with people that they love, and have a moment of reflection. Are you crying?
Yeah.
Are you seriously crying?
No, I'm not. I think that the internet went a bit slow. Why? Do you think I'm crying?
Oh, I thought you were so moved either by my insight or my voice that
I was moved to
stopped
tears.
to pause and shed a tear.
Oh, God.
So I'm really
All right.
happy that we actually
Well,
are doing this episode, and to bring it back to Thanksgiving and gratitude. I think opinions may change, and my opinion around Thanksgiving has certainly changed just in discussing gratitude, because what's come through time and time and time again is the pause, reflection, and the emotion, the connection to emotion, whether that's peace or, as Nathan said, sense, the sense of, etc. Yeah, I really like this formula.
I love it. Let's have one more quote. And this is, in fact, from Manny's partner, who said, every day I feel deeply thankful and grateful for where life has placed me. Seeing what's happening in other parts of the world reminds me how truly fortunate and blessed I am. She's also moved from South Africa to the UK. And that is one of the gifts, in fact, of moving countries, is that you get to observe life in a completely different way. And often you can really appreciate things that you otherwise wouldn't have. But following on from that, saying life isn't always smooth. And through the ups and downs, there are moments that test you. But somehow, something always shows up to lift or guide you, even if it's just a little. A person, a message, a small, subtle moment that appears when you need it most. It's those unexpected moments of comfort, light, and hope that I hold closest in gratitude. I love that. Thank you so much.
Love that. I feel that the result of being in a place of gratitude allows you to think about the language that you use. Recently, a friend was explaining to me she's going through a medical situation, and the doctor was giving her scenarios, and he used the word opportunity. So if this situation happens, it gives us an opportunity to do this. Or if that situation happens, it gives us an opportunity to do the next thing. And I thought that was such a positive approach to a medical procedure, which can be so overwhelming and such a frightening experience. And I loved that. And we know in conversations that you and I have had, I've started using the word gift in scenarios that might not be what I want, but I will look at what is the gift in this lesson. And it's not about being toxic, but it's just about using how powerful language is. It's about using, you can choose any word that you want to describe a situation, but words have energy, and that energy is either going to uplift or it's going to take you down. And so those are two really interesting choices of words that really resonated with me. And just in terms of pausing and thinking about gratitude and how that changes the chemistry in your mind. And when you look at the world through low vibrational words or thoughts, you, as you said earlier on, contract, and the opportunities or the options might seem less. But when you look at it in higher vibrating words, you have more options. And it's really just in slowing down and thinking about what's the next word that I want to use, or challenging yourself in terms of, I've thought this word, maybe I want to use this word. Recreating those pathways.
Yeah. That makes me think of when we pray and ask, the things that we are asking for often are based in lack or in need. So we'll often ask because we don't have. And that's the beauty of gratitude, is to spin that around a little bit and say, I'm really grateful for this, or I'm grateful for this, even if you don't already have it, because it allows you not to energize more lack, more need, but actually to be, I'm so grateful for the money that I have right now, even if it's a small amount. That will energize more of that, as opposed to gimme, gimme, gimme. It's energetically giving something back of thanks. Should we do another quote, sis?
Let's do another quote.
A few more left to go. This one comes from my friend Hanley in South Africa, who we both know. And she's given me a long version and a short version. I'm going to go with the long version because it's great. Gratitude to me means recognizing and appreciating the good that already exists in my life. It's more than just saying thank you. It's a mindset, a way of seeing the world. When I practice gratitude, I shift my focus from what I lack to what I have, from frustration to appreciation. It reminds me to value small moments, a kind word, a sunrise, the people who care about me, or even the lessons that come from difficult times. Gratitude keeps me grounded and reminds me that happiness isn't about having everything, but about noticing the blessings I already have. Being grateful also connects me more deeply to others. It encourages humility and compassion because it helps me realize how much of my joy and growth comes from the love, effort, and kindness of others. I love it.
Love that too.
Thank you, Hannah. That's really beautiful.
Okay, sis. Maybe one more, and then I think we are going to have to start wrapping.
Yes. Let's go with Ines, who is one of my friends and colleagues at work, and I know one of your fans, Sam. You met her on video the other day.
I love that. Thank you.
And she said, gratitude to me is the feeling of mutual appreciation, the quiet understanding that love and kindness flow both ways, which I really love. And then I think I've just got one more.
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, one more.
It's really special. And I think this is our last one. But this is from my friend Jared. And he said, the first two words that surface when I think of gratitude are whole and safe. Gratitude isn't just something I feel, it's something I live. It's the quiet knowing, even in a chaotic world, I can come back to a place of wholeness and safety within, which is wonderful. Thank you so much, Jared. Okay, so this one more, and my very last one is from the pie to my pudding from my bestie Petra. Thank you so much for sending this, including the amended version, version 2. What gratitude means to me, it's a feeling in every fiber of my being, not because everything in my life is perfect, but because I'm aligned within. I'm at peace with who I am and what I stand for and what I believe in. The inner alignment is reflected, or at least how I aspire it to reflect, in how I show up in my life and my business. For me, gratitude is a calm awareness and a quiet appreciation for where I am at in my life, in every part of it. Grateful for the seemingly small moments that make up my life and add a deliciousness to it. And also who I've become thanks to the experiences that stretch me, crack me open, and offer me an opportunity to look within. Gratitude holds me accountable. That is a powerful
Ooh,
statement. Gratitude
that is
holds me accountable.
that is powerful. Accountability. Wow. Petra, that was a good one. Thank you for sharing that. Love that. You know what? I came into this episode a little bit not knowing which way this was going to go, but I'm leaving this recording feeling super pumped, actually, and full of gratitude. Like I feel lots of emotions inside. And thank you to everyone who has shared their thoughts on what gratitude is. We have a beautiful formula now. But
Yes,
most importantly, is that I'm walking away from this with a spring in my step and feeling a lot more grateful.
the contagiousness of gratitude.
There we go. I love that.
Now, without sounding like a Miss Universe contestant, every little bit of gratitude can just expand and have a ripple effect. And I wonder what change that would create in the world. And smile. Sis, I'm so grateful for you. I'm grateful for this time. And I'm really, really thankful and grateful for those of you who have taken time out of your lives to listen or watch this episode and any of our other episodes. This is a fun thing that Sam and I were doing together just to create more possibilities in our world and to do something that we love doing together. And so the fact that you are listening and commenting really means so much to us. So just so much gratitude from our hearts to yours. And please take a moment and pop into the chat anywhere. I think you can in Spotify, on any of the social medias, and on YouTube. Just let us know something that you're grateful for or a practice that you use to express your gratitude and thankfulness. So glad to have had this time with you.
It doesn't have to be related to Thanksgiving. It can be at any time that you might be watching or listening to this episode. If you feel that you want to share, please do. And like Angela said, we are super grateful. We really love all of the comments, but we also do this with the hope of touching someone or giving someone the reassurance of what they might be going through. And that's why we started this podcast. We're really fortunate to have each other and really special people in our lives. And we also acknowledge that sometimes people don't have that. And I found through this year, podcasts and just connecting with other creatives has brought a lot of joy to my life. And so we're really happy that there are people that are enjoying the content. And so we are enjoying making the content. So thank you for that.
And no
Okay, so
episode is complete without us having our tequila shot. So cheers. Here's to more gratitude, more thankfulness, and more possibilities.
more possibilities. Ching ching.
Ching ching.
Thank you for listening or watching. Email us at notuspod@gmail.com. Remember to subscribe to our channels, Not Us Podcast on Instagram or Facebook, and catch us on Spotify or Apple and watch us on YouTube. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, everyone. Bye
Bye
for now.
bye.